All right, hey guys, how we doing? Let's just jump right into this. I know a lot of people are still catching up from the tavern trials between Bova and Tetra. Some amazing games there, as we can see. Bova's deck is clearly going to be destroyed when these erratas hit tomorrow. So it was actually really cool to see that that deck is, viable, and just how much mayhem this game has caused or can cause in the future. Can't hear me. Is my mic? It shows my mic is good. Never. Okay. Okay. I was like, what? What do you mean you can't hear me? I turned my mic on. I swear. I promise. Um. So yeah, obviously we watched Bubba, we watched Tetra, and we saw the reason that these erratas need to take place. Right. I think Bubba gave a very good example of why these erratas need to take place, as opposed to just saying, hey, classic formats on the app. Like it for us as players, as viewers. I know for the physical players, it's a little upsetting that obviously they're completely different formats, completely different. You can't really test your stuff on the app like you would in physical. So the people that do physicals are like completely disoriented and disconnected from the app. So I can get that kind of disapproval from the main physical players. I completely understand, and if I did play physical more, I'd be probably in the same boat. You're spending all this money, you're going to these tournaments, you're doing everything like that, and the people that play in the app are basically playing a completely different game with the same cards, but like a lot of the cards have different rules. Wranglethor, I had both apps going at once too, so it was very cool seeing both sides of what people were doing. But the thing about Bova's deck is still completely legal in Classic. So that deck, if you go to physical tournaments, you can run into that deck. Bulbasaur, Thunderfist, Salute, congratulations today. But yeah, that deck is still Classic. And the thing that I kind of laugh at is, like, after seeing that and being like, wow, 100% lockout deck exists in Classic. And everyone's like, we want Classic. And then we got all these erratas that are amazing that kind of fix and stop that kind of stuff and still make the game very fun. And everyone's like, man, I still wish we got Classic. And I'm like, we just got a prime example of why these erratas need to happen. Yes, we want Classic to be more compatible and more comparable to the physical game. We get that. But that's literally only for like the next 2 or 3 months until Uprising comes out. I mean, we don't have a solid date yet, but when Uprising comes out, that kind of stuff is still, obviously, it's going to go to the wayside. So like that format in itself is a temporary solution of what they did to try and fix the Awakening and all this other stuff. Whereas this errata is a permanent fix. Because as soon as Uprising comes out, all this errata is also going to take place in the physical. Right? So all this stuff that's happening, the digital is actually just going to get it sooner before physical. And physical is just going to have to play this one format so that playing physical is actually not just all Sicario and Granite and all this stuff. Like that's why that format was made. Yes, we wanted it on digital, but we got the erratas, which in my opinion I think is almost the same. A lot of cards just go away instead. Exactly. Like that deck is only viable, and then Uprising comes out, everything changes again. And as soon as Uprising comes out, the digital app and the physical app will once again be cohesive. We've had a very big disconnect. I will say that we've had a very big disconnect between physical and digital for a long time now. Basically ever since Classic Format came out, which was in like January, right? That's when Classic Format dropped, like a month ago. Right at the beginning of Q1, it came out. And then everyone's like, oh, I can't wait for the app to be Classic too. And then it got pushed back and got pushed back again. And we're just like, okay, so when are they going to be cohesive? And then they decided to say, hey, you know what? Classic Format obviously is for the physical players. It's going to take a lot more coding. I even asked Benny on stream or on Discord, and Benny gave me a very reasonable answer to it. And I thought it was a very logical question. That coding and doing all this stuff for the app, like making sure that the cards are only a one of, all this stuff is different and all that stuff like that, would be extremely difficult for a temporary fix. Right? That fix, all that coding, all that work they would do, literally would only take effect for like 3 months about. And then they just like scrap that whole code and then have to implement all these digital erratas regardless. Because all these erratas are going to be permanent as soon as Uprising comes out, even the stuff that's getting completely kicked out. Physical and digital had huge discrepancies when the app first came out. We couldn't play test for nationals with the app. It was disappointing. No, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's been that long, really? Huh. I didn't know they had disconnects that, like way back at 2018 Gen Con. I didn't know that. but I may be wrong here, fairly new to card games, but it seems even the changes, a new meta comes, and we have some issues, or am I wrong? Um, I mean, you're not wrong. With every meta comes complete changes and stuff that will once again be found broken. Like, there's never, in my opinion, been a card game where, like, yeah, everyone's really enjoying this. It's all really diverse, really even. There's like a rock paper scissors match going on and all this stuff. Like, everyone's having a good time. There's always like, yeah, we're experimenting, and then the meta comes out, and then like a week or two later, some very intelligent person, either on Superior Seekers or on Heroic Starfish, is gonna come out with something that's just bonkers and broken. And they're like, guys, look what I found. And PlayFusion is gonna go, ugh, we tried so hard to fix this, and then they'll have to go back in and do more stuff. So like it's a consistently evolving game. We cannot give them so much, I'm trying to be a family friendly word, so much crap that they give us all these good erratas, and we've been wanting news, we've been wanting change since Classic didn't come out. We've been like begging for it, and now they finally gave it to us. And people are still complaining, like, no, we wanted Classic, we wanted this. I'm like, I understand that. I do. I completely understand. I would like Classic on the format, too. I've been building nothing but Classic decks. Like, my website is all Classic format. That's all it is. And it is kind of upsetting that I won't be able to play those on Ranked at all, digitally, because all the cards are going to be completely different. Everyone's still allowed to use non-Classic format stuff. So I get that. But for a long-run player, for someone who is dedicated to this, not just looking beyond before Uprising, not just looking like right here, right now. I'm a person who will look in the future and see these erratas are exactly what I wanted over just getting Classic format on the list. Because just getting Classic format will once again lead into the same thing where it's either going to be Hyper-Attack Aggro, or people are going to find out the list that Bova just played and just play that. And the only thing that beats it is Hyper-Attack Aggro, because that list has a lot of healing, a lot of card draw, and can beat out any mid to late game. Like, it has an infinite lockout combo. So, like, if they do implement Classic, then they also have to implement all these erratas, and it's a lot of work for a company that's doing a lot. And I'm personally A-okay with just these erratas. Just the erratas are fine. I do see how some people are like, hey, the people from the digital app are also like, yeah, they got invites to nationals because of their ranking, and way back in Standard when this even went, now the errata's out, and you can still use like 3 copies of card that are limited to in Classic format. I get it. I understand. But if you also want to think about this, yes, the cards change and the formats change. You look at any other card game out there, you tell me that every single tournament that every single card game plays has the same exact rules. Because I can guarantee you there's not a single card game out there that doesn't have different formats, different rules, pour all that stuff. And they take all the winners from these great tournaments that learn different formats, that play different formats, that do all this testing and like try to learn everything. And then they coalesce into one tournament that has its own different set of rules that are probably completely different than the ones it competed in. So if you think about that, then you start going, okay, yeah. I mean, the only thing I'm probably a little upset about is the fact that people were able to grind Sicario. I'm talking about you, Legaia. I'm laughing, but I'm talking about you. They're able to grind the broke Sicario deck and win 3 consecutive seasons and get all those points for that. Like, Standard, I admit the errata should have taken place a lot sooner. And that might have just been hindsight with PlayFusion going, we need to get Classic out on digital, we need to do this because that's what everyone's asking for. And then it came down to crunch time, and we're like, by the time we get this all, it's going to be like 1 month of Classic on digital, and then it's not even going to be, let's just do the erratas, let's do it quick, get that out there so we have all this stuff, and we'll just kind of play it by ear. So if you think about it that way, that makes things actually a whole lot more understandable to think about. When the digital errata, yes, it'll make the game different. They changed so many broken cards. We will discuss this in a little bit. I'm still doing my intro rant, so I do apologize if I just love talking. That's what I do. That I'm A-okay with this new format, actually. I'm going to start building decks in this new format. I'll probably have to change some of my Classic format decks, add in some other cards, but like, a lot of people were abusing Tree Spout, a lot of people were abusing Ancient Miner, and you look in here and they got major erratas, right? A lot of people were abusing Storm Shaman, a lot of people were abusing Colossi Ritual Site, major card erratas. There's a lot of things in here that are changing and making the game better as a whole that will then last the long run after Uprising comes out, after all this stuff. So you guys really have to take into account that, yeah, they're 2 different formats, they'll lead to both different formats, but then, I mean, if you go to the Invitationals, I don't even know when the Invitational is being held. Is there a solid date for Invitationals out right now? Is there like a set date, this is when the Invitationals are happening? Because I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything about it, and I haven't read anything about it. Because, like, for all we know, the invitationals will let you include Uprising cards, will be standard format, which isn't even the classic format that the physical people are playing, or the new errata format, which I'm calling it the new errata format, that digital people are playing. So, like, those two people are playing different formats, yes. And then they'll all coalesce into a third format, which, for all I know, could be standard. And the decks they were playing are not viable, and you have to build entirely new decks for an entirely new tournament. But you won your way by playing in the tournament, in the format that you wanted to succeed in. You chose it. You chose to do this. You wanted to go physical. Yes, there were a lot of miscommunication about, I thought the physical or classic was going to go to the app too. But I think we just need to embrace the fact that PlayFusion actually gave us a lot of good things today. And that's what's awesome. And I'm really happy about that. I was one of the people that kind of was also on Discord and spoke up like, I don't approve of all these setbacks on the time delays. You're being very vague with, it's distribution issues. I kind of wanted more answers. I think a lot of us did. But in the long run, if all we're going to do is complain, we're going to miss out and underappreciate all the good work and hard work that they're putting in. That I want to applaud PlayFusion right now. I want to thunderfin salute everyone over there at the Lightseekers team for doing a great job, for actually giving us something, especially after last week Friday when everyone's like, wow, this is not the news we wanted. And then it's what? Wednesday, the week after, and all of these erratas come. Like, if you think about that, just like mind boggles me to go, hey, probably Benny even said 2 people are probably the people that did this. Benny and some other guy. I think he said Chris. Were 2 people that did all these erratas really quick for us to do. And if you think about that, like they probably came back on Monday, listened to everyone. Benny and Chris. Thank you, Bulbasaur. Yeah. Benny and Chris probably came in on Monday, got like all of this stuff thrown at them from the Discord, from the representatives. I can't think of what their name is. The community reps. Thrown at them like, hey guys, this is all the feedback, like we got to do something. And they're like, all right, let's get ourselves some energy drinks. We're going to do this for them. And they did it. They gave us very positive changes for the game, which are awesome, which are very awesome. And I think after we discuss these card changes, if you haven't read them already, which I hope you have, they're great. And you really need to go into depth because I'm not even going to be able to touch the surface on how much I want to. Like, I would love to do card comparisons to see the old version, the new version, but I don't have images of the new version yet. They'll come out tomorrow, so I might like do a better uploaded video tomorrow and actually like put a YouTube video out. I'd love to do that of like old new versions of like what cards are changing and how different it is. But just from knowing what the game is and what's going on, I hope I have a very general sense of like why these changes are supremely good and will help change the meta entirely come to digital. So that digital won't just be Sicario, Zuna, Dolo, Cassini. Like, it'll be very vibrant, and I am looking so forward to playing digitally ranked now come Saturday with these new changes, because I do think that you're going to see a lot more variety, and with the new meta comes a lot of new concoctions and a lot of new crazy stuff, and I am always up for testing everything that I want. Everything. So let's just jump right into this, right? First off, let's just, classic card changes. Now, mind you, they even start with a header. A disclaimer saying like, hey, these updates are going to take the 5th first. They're going to take place instead of the dedicated version of Classic mode. So obviously Classic is not coming to digital. We all know that. We're all fine with that. I hope after my discussion and explanation of that, we're not getting Classic and digital, which I'm fine with. We got a brand new meta for digital. Awesome. I love that. That's amazing. And what's happening is classic card changes when Uprising releases. Now, mind you, this little block of text only takes place when Uprising comes out. None of this is taking place now. This is not taking place the 21st. This is taking place when we get Uprising, right? Classic cards will no longer be part of standard format. Standard format, for those of you that don't know, or maybe get disassociated with it, standard format is what the format after Classic will be, right? That's the format where all the retired cards are fully out. You can't even use them anymore. That'll be the new standard. That'll be the new, hey, this is the block. Everything is going to be part of this unless you play casual or do campaigns. If you want to play ranked, this is the format to play. There's no classic format. There's new meta breaking or errata format. We got a sneak peek into some core card changes too. Did we? Like, what do you mean sneak peek? I guess I got to ask. It's on here, right? It's on the list? Or are you talking about something else? But yeah, the ranked mode will be played in standard format. So, once Uprising hits, ranked mode on the app, on all tournaments, physical and digital. Well, I don't know about digital tournaments, I don't know. But it's going to be ranked. It's going to be standard. Everything, once Uprising comes out, will be standard format. The standard card changes at the bottom. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll get to that. I'm doing the list. Give me time, guys. I got a whole list to go through. But yeah, so once Uprising comes out, once we get the new set and the new core boxes, Rift packs, cross my fingers, I hope I didn't butcher that or get it completely wrong. Everything will be standard. Everything will kind of cohesive. They'll do the DBZ fusion dance. Same power levels, just combined to something better. Oh, no problem, Cowboy. No problem, Cowboy. Classic cards can still be used in all other game modes. Casual, you can use whatever you want. You can have amazing fun. If you want to play Sicario in casual mode, I will auto-decline and pass you on to the next guy. Whatever you want to do. But, I mean, it's if you want to build those ridiculous things like Bova just did, like Cosmo's been doing, Dr. Tillis has been doing, if you want to just find those ridiculously crazy synergistic cards with the new erratas, go for it. Because I would love to see, like, a wild format start, like in Hearthstone, how they have, like, a wild ladder format and a standard ladder format. They have two of them because they have enough cards for it. And as soon as this goes on, I have a feeling they'll probably do that too, where it'll just be like, hey, like in Magic the Gathering has Legacy. Any card goes, build whatever deck you want, have fun. Like that kind of thing. Like I would love to see that ladder after like 4 or 5 years and just see everyone come up with these ridiculous card synergies that they tried to prevent, but inevitably made it with like 2 different sets that are like 2 years apart, and you still come up with an infinite lock, and you're just like, come on, I thought we had this under control. The following classic cards that have received changes. So all these cards, for right now, all of these cards are in the classic format. These are the ones that are getting errated, but then as soon as Uprising comes out, every single card in this list until we get down to the core set is, once Uprising comes out, is going away. Right? It's going away. It's not like these erratas are staying, they're staying permanently, obviously, because they're getting updated come the Rift packs, but once Standard comes out, none of these are allowed to be played in ranked in tournaments, so it doesn't really matter. These are just being changed to make it so that on the app, because we're not getting classic format, we're still getting a lot of big changes that will make it so the game is different. Right? It'll make it so that, you know, we're not playing with busted, non-edited decks for the next 2 or 3 months. Well, like that drops off every player base because no one wants to play digital anymore for that reason. So all these changes are amazing, and these are happening to cards that are getting rotated out as soon as Uprising comes out, are limited to probably, you know, 1 a deck anyway. So just take that with a grain of salt, how you will. But I'm A-okay with all of this stuff, right? So first we have Anti-Gravity Field. Mind you, I forgot to ask. Mind you, in the app, these erratas are taking place, but because we don't have Classic in the app, you can still use 3 cards of this, or, you know, as many combos as you want in this. This just the errata will take place. So, you know, Tree Sprouts, you can still run 3. Ancient Miners, you can still run 3, but they'll have the errata to make them not as overpowered and overbroken as they were before. So mind you, yes, the erratas will only take place in digital, but you are allowed 3 copies, as opposed to the erratas will not take place in physical, but you are only allowed 1 copy. So keep that in mind too. Anti-Gravity Field has its base damage reduced by 2. Anti-Gravity Field has always been an amazing combo for Astral, dealing max of 14, but now they just make it a max of 12. Which I'm fine with. Planetary Alignment is always a card that's run no matter what, right? But with Solar and Lunar, or Solar and Astral, means that you can run this with Sun Hunter. It means you can run it with Asavak and not have to worry about, you know, oh, this is only 1 limited card, what am I going to do? So you can run this in those really good Mythical Hero decks and still use them where you couldn't run Planetary Alignment. It's kind of like a balance to make it so the Mythic Heroes still get really good Astral combos, because we were limiting ourselves a lot trying to build Classic with those Mythic Heroes, with our combos. So that's awesome. That it's basically like a mini Planetary Alignment for the heroes that can't run Planetary Alignment if you want to discard your solar cards as well. But I'm okay with that. I'm A-okay with that. Especially when I don't think mind you have to discard 2 solar cards to do it. But that's an action card that does the same thing as Time Collapse, which is a 4-cost combo. So I'm like, there's some give and take there. But I'm A-okay with this. I'm A-okay with that cost reduction and still allow us to play it with those Mythic Heroes. That's great. That's great for me. Eclipse of Healing has been reduced by 1. Oh, no. I personally thought 11 healing was the weirdest number in the world anyway. 11, like, why 11? Why? What's so... Is it like a number in the lore where 11 comes up? Like how, you know, 666 is the number of the devil. Like, it has some significance that 11 is important. Because I think 11 is also on Crushing Rapids, too, or something like that. Or on Flood, it's 11 healing. And I'm like, why 11? Why not? Why? Why 11? I don't understand. There's cards out there to do like 12 damage, and then there's 11 healing. Like, oh, we just want like a minuscule difference in there. It's like, no, just make it 10. Make everything even. It makes math so much easier. Flying Fortress is now unique. Now, this is awesome, because if this was not unique, people would still be running the Reality Rift Flying Fortress Calic deck. And if you don't know what that is, Obviously, you discard. Your only buffs are Flying Fortresses, right? Flying Fortress, you put it in there. I gotta actually open up. Here are the cards. I was looking at this while I was on that game. So, don't... Actually, yeah, if we're going to Classic. If I just type in Flying Fortress. Flying Fortress, if you guys didn't know, if you draw a defend card, it deals this damage for every card you draw. So it's Clunky Cornered, right? Having this be unique means that only one of them out on the board activates. The other ones don't activate until the first one goes away. So what people would do is people would run Calic after Reality Rift. Everyone knows what Reality Rift does. You get 3 buffs back from your discard. The latest 3 buffs back from your discard pile. Put them back into play. I'm probably going to butcher his name. Yep. Oh, because I don't have heroes. That would be why. Seriously? How do you... Just give me Astral Heroes, okay? Just do it. I don't... Does it not even start with a C? Oh, my... Oh, because I'm in Classic. Wow! Okay, guys. A lot of stuff just happened there that I feel really down about. Star Tamer Calic. Shuffle your entire hand. Rip my Star Tamer deck. I know. A lot of decks are getting ripped in half. Like... I mean, they're not even viable in... Hey, Terry, Fish Gang, I'm back. Yeah. I did get your email, so I will respond to you, obviously, after the stream. It's just like I got the email late at night. I went to bed. I had to work. Came home at like 5. Started the stream at 6. A lot's been going on. But I did get your email, so don't worry about that. I will get back to you as soon as I can. But yeah, I mean, Bulbasaur, a lot of these decks are gone in both Classic and now in the Digital Errata, which is okay, in my opinion. It means that the decks that were broken, busted, have got their power level down so that new, more inventive decks can come up and be competitive with them. So what people would do is they'd have like a hand of like 8 or 9 by that time, right? They just build a big hand. Then your ability to shuffle that hand back in, and you would then draw that many cards. And if Flying Fortress literally says, hey, when you draw a defend, reveal it, with 3 of those out, I think each buff does a total of 10 damage, right? So you just have to draw 4 defend cards, and you, with those 3 buffs, do 30 damage. Just do 30 damage. It was ridiculous. Want to know about the Deck Doctor and what's next? Yeah, no problem. I don't just want to know about the Deck Doctor and what's next. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm talking about the next meta, so we're good to go. The Deck Doctoring, did you send me a Deck Doctor list? If you did, I'm sorry, I missed it. Oh yeah, you did. No, the Lugnut. Yeah, I tested that. I will post that on. I don't like rushing you. I just care about deck building because a lot of decks are changing, so I'm in need of some building for Standard. No, I hear you. I mean, a lot of people are. So if you want me to help Deck Doctor Disc, feel free to email me at razorgreshu@gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to take a look at the desk. I might, mind you, for the first few days of this new meta, probably building decks of my own, getting used to the new meta, as opposed to deck doctoring people. So if I don't get to your deck for like a week or two, don't feel bad. I'm not getting to anyone's deck for a week or two because I want to try and build my own stuff before I help someone else on theirs. Otherwise, I don't feel like I get to be creative. I just help other people be creative. So I want to get my hands dirty in the mud and test stuff out before I start helping other people's out. That way, I'll also get a better feel for the meta and the cards to use as well. So yeah, what people will do is they literally start Tamer Calic and do that for like 30 damage, and that's basically a OTK in my mind, right? That's just one turn and you're dead, and you're like, wow, I didn't do anything. Okay, that was fun. So now having unique just basically stops that. Means that, you know, you're only allowed 1 in Classic format, now 1 at a time in Digital. It's what the change is. So I'm okay with that. I'm completely fine with that. Abyss Weaver now has 4 clunky corners instead of being permanent. Amazing change, first of all. Because when this comes into play, if you have a Shadow buff, you heal for 4, and then every single time you use an ability, you heal for 1. So with Abyss Weaver, it literally means the next 4 times you use an ability, you heal for 1, then it goes away. So it really cuts out Dread's long-lasting survivability. It was cut down to 1 in Classic because it's like, hey, this is just permanent 3 healing every time you use an ability, and it's hard to get through with a consistent buff that you have to remove, and Dread has a lot of ways to bring stuff back in the graveyard. I think Abyss Weaver is perfect, saying, hey, you have a finite number of heals you can do with them what you will. It kind of reminds me of the Abyss Hoarder that they just put out, where you deal 1 and I think it's deal 1 and heal 1. So it kind of goes hand in hand with the Abyss Hoarder. It's just with Abyss Weaver, you get an instant heal for 4 when it comes into play. So that's awesome. Okay, no problem. I suggest something for Forest or Darkness because Mythical Hero bundle, and I got the Forest Darkness. Oh, awesome. Nice. Pulled one duplicate dual combo, but I got a lot of new cards, so I'm happy with my pulls. Awesome. Way to go, man. Abyss Shade, thank you. Thank you, Racketsar. Abyss Shade. Yeah, it's essentially the same thing as Abyss Shade, but instead of dealing 1 damage as well, it instantly can heal you for 4 if it's another buff. And for Dread, that's awesome. Like, Dread does not have burst healing at all. So having that be different from the Shade is just really good. Abyss Horde is the one that draws you cards. That's where I'm getting it mixed up. So that's an awesome change. I think that's an amazing change that is very positive and needs to happen. Nova is a hero. The ability will now only apply healing if your target is below 35. I'm guessing this was a glitch that they had to fix. What does Nova do? For real? Oh, C classic hero? She a retired hero? Yes, she is. Okay. Heal yourself another hero for 2. This cannot be increased by effects. Oh, okay. So essentially, like, you'd use it for a stall deck, right? What you would use it for is you would just consistently heal your opponent, not even deal damage to them whatsoever, it doesn't matter. And you would just heal yourself for 2 with an ability every single turn. Now this literally says, hey, you have to actually be proactive. It's kind of the same thing that Trianu got a nerf with, where you only draw cards if your opponent actually heals. So that's a perfect nerf for her. That is a perfect errata for her, where you only get the benefit if you've actually been proactive in hurting your opponent, right? So you can heal as opposed to just letting them sit at 35 and just stalling and healing out. Ritual of Awakening now has Burn. Ritual of Awakening. Was that the combo? Oh, God, I'm still in Heroes. I am still in Heroes. What am I? No, just stop everything I'm doing. Oh, perfect. Yeah, I can see people abusing this card up the wazoo with, like, Time Worm, with Life Imbue, with Regrowth, all this stuff. Just put it in play. This is a card that needs Burn. There's a lot of combos out there that I think need Burn, and I'm glad that, like, a lot of them did, in my opinion. I'm glad that a lot of them did. Because otherwise it's just, you get so much recursion that their late game becomes almost infinitely strong, where once you get into late game, it just becomes a completely different game, in a sense. So Ritual of Awakening is awesome. I'm glad it got Burn. For people who don't know what it does, obviously, you can't die while it's 4 corners up for the next 4 turns. You can't die, and if you do die, you heal for 7 instead. Like, instead. You don't just drop to 0, you heal for 7 as opposed to taking that lethal damage. So it's like Crystal Core, but it's like with a bonus added heal for the next 4 turns. Really powerful card. Glad it got it. Burn. Sicario, the ability moves up to 2 different shadow buffs into play. I love the fact that they just put a giant picture of Sicario on there. Like, you know what? Here's the one card that I'm sure everyone is going to love the errata of, and we all do. Because everyone was like, no, this is a huge change for Sicario. I'm not sure. Oh, you're still... Okay. Yeah, Sicario... by the way, guys, with Twitch chat going and all this stuff going, if you wanna like get my attention, make sure you type in @RazorGreshu so I can like notify that you're trying to talk to me. Otherwise, right now with me doing this, I'm just gonna assume you're talking with each other, which is completely fine. Go to town. I love discussions on chat. I'm just saying, like, if you want to get attention to me, put my name in there so that I know when to read, so I don't stop. Yeah, Sicario, it's 2 different shadow buffs into play, right? So you can't put in like Abyss Weaver. You can put in the Hoarder and use the ability like normal. But the different shadow buffs make this so much more unique. It means you can't, dump in a Spectral Web or a Putrid Shaman or 2 Putrid Shamans and just really blow up the board instantaneously. With the Shadow, in not, a lot of Sicario decks right now, they only run probably like 10 to 12 shadow buffs. So like using that ability, it's almost going to be like, oh, is it even worth it anymore? Which, I mean, it will. It'll help you pump stuff out. But then, like, you know, once you have no shadow buffs in play, that's a dead ability, and you have to start playing stuff normally. So it'll help you ramp in a lot of cases where you want to, but it's been so limited that this is a nerf that needs to happen. I'm so happy it is. It's probably even worse than the Dolo nerf. It's like, no, you take 1 extra damage. So that it's like, okay, I'll still draw 3 cards. Or still draw 2. I'm okay with that. This one is like, hey, only a certain amount of buffs in your deck now can work with your hero ability. Which is amazing, because like, Grimus only works with poison buffs. It doesn't say you can't remove 1 buff at a time. Putting in that context, like having it generalized with Sicario and that, everyone would run Grimus. There's a reason not to run Grimus. That would be a busted hero power. So I'm really happy they really narrowed in his ability. That really put a nerf on him, and I think will make him a lot less powerful and a lot less just broke back, in my opinion. Terrify. The damage increased to 6, but only 2 action cards move back. Now, Terrify was 5 damage. They moved 3 action cards back, which was really big, really heavy in a lot of just hand tempo swings, especially if it's just action, like any action. At least Blinding Beetle and Eclipse were attack cards. Avalanche is attack cards. This is just any action cards, which means you're probably just left with combos, which is fine. So I'm actually okay with that. 6 damage is perfectly fine. It lines right up there with Flying Debris. Only have to move 2 cards back. That's a good nerf. That's a completely fine power level nerf. So that's what Dread did. I think that's stuff. Oh, Astro was the first one. Astro didn't get a whole lot other than just like stopping OTK decks almost entirely. Like that's just with Flying Fortress, it shut down that one big deck, which is a big thing. This balanced Dread out, where they were using a lot of these cards to stay alive and not die. Balanced that out so it wasn't consistently a lockout style deck. Awesome. Mountain, obviously Mountain has a bunch of cards. Ancient Miner, the corners are now X1, X2, which is amazing. They put a pause in there on Ancient Miner so that you didn't draw 1, then 2 right away. You drew a card, then you let it set out for another turn. Then you drew 2 cards. Really slows down their card tempo. Obviously, it's still going to be a good card because card draw is amazing in this game. But it's going to be one of those where you have to wait like 4 turns to get full benefit as opposed to 3. Getting all that card draw out of it gives your opponent a better chance to try and remove it before you get the 3 cards before they can do anything. Really needed it. I'm happy. I'm super happy about it. Again, I said this before with Cosmo. Colossi Ritual Site, XX3. Along with Storm Shaman, I'll get that. Storm Shaman has the same thing where it's XX4. That is so huge because those cards were literally, and I think I heard this in a podcast from Delivery Crab, you slammed it down on the board and you said, okay, either you have it in your hand, you have buff removal in your hand, or you're going to get hit like a truck next turn and there's nothing you can do about it. It literally came down to you, because you draw at the end of your turn, if you didn't have an answer in your hand to it, you were taking that extra damage. There was no way. With this, you at least see it come down, you don't have to answer. You're probably going to be like, okay, well, I'll draw 2. Hopefully those 2 cards will find me an answer. If not, then I have to plan out my next turn. It's not just, hey, I have literally this turn before I just get overwhelmed, which is awesome. I'm really glad they slowed that thing down. I can see why Storm Shaman and why the Observatory didn't. Because they are just like 2 and 2, so it's like for the next 2 turns. Whereas this is like 3 and damage prevention and all this other stuff. So I can understand why that wasn't like XX22 or like X2. Those are fine. Hey, Resgushu, did you do the? Do they do refunds on crafted, rested, or errated cards? They haven't said they would. They have not said they would, so I don't know if they're going to do anything like that. Mind you, the errata is not just like, a temporary errata. Oh, I'm sorry, you crafted this card. It's going to stick around. But a lot of these cards are going to be going into casual, Uprising, standard format. So, I mean, just like in Hearthstone, once an entire format block gets rotated out, they didn't give you free full dust refunds for that. So, I know when they do like card erratas and whatnot, they'll offer a free dust refund. But that's a completely digital game, where this is a physical game as well. So there's probably issues with like, I only play digital. It's like, well, we do apologize for that. So yeah, I can see them probably not doing it, but that's because like once the set entirely rotates out, if they would do it that way, they would have to like, all these could be sharded for full cost and everything like that. So, and even if you do have 3, I mean, you could still use them for the campaign, the single player modes. So don't feel like you wasted your shards. You just, you spent shards on a card that is not going to be viable for until a few months later. But you can still use it in casual, you can still use it in campaign, so it's not really a waste, in my opinion. Dolo is now 30 health instead of 32. Awesome. I didn't know Dolo needed another nerf, in my opinion, but hey, it's got it. Cool. I mean, Dolo's just super strong anyway right now, regardless, so it doesn't matter too much to me. Ring of Thor, I don't think the Dolo change was enough. To me, Dolo could start at 25 health. I know 28's the minimum, but I mean, I honestly didn't think it needed. I thought the 1 health increase was fine. It's still a very strong hero. Maybe the lower health means that it can't use its ability consistently like it was at 32. It'll really have to play the Boulder Feast and more defensively, as opposed to the very aggro style or the lockout style that I've been seeing. Everrot Carver has expired, or it now expires after applying its effect. Wait. Oh, Everrot Carver is the set your health to 15, get an additional action. Awesome. Because there's also a lot of decks out there with the Shrine of Death that would Everrot Carver you to 15, then you Shrine of Death it, and go up to 30, So with that being said, you cannot Shrine of Death Everett Carver for that ridiculous health gain combo to reset yourself back up to 30. I'm sure that you can't other cards as well with it too, but it's basically so that you can't pull that shenanigans, which I'm A-okay with. And really, like, what it should be like is Everett Carver's corner was just a clunky corner, kind of how how the Lumbering Behemoth, I think of what it is. Once it gets to its final corner, it does the 8 damage, then rotates out. Or the Ritual of Sacrifice, once it does the damage, it rotates out instantly. I mean, that's all it needed to do, is Everett Carver is now a clunky corner as opposed to expires after its effect. Just say it is now clunky corner. Same thing. Granite is now 31 health. I think Granite was 32 as well. I'd have to look. What was Granite? I played Granite like by the back of my hand, and I still didn't even know. It was 32, so it's losing 1 health. Kind of weird. Don't know if it was necessary. I don't even think I see anyone playing Granite now that it's been nerfed to 3 damage as well. So I don't know how much the health really dropped really mattered to Granite. It's probably one of those things that's like, hey, we did it. And everyone's like, I didn't notice. So, yeah, it's one of those erratas. They just tossed in a bunch of them. And there's only a few key ones that are really important. This is just like, oh, cool, yay, it's fun. Shattered Volcano now has unique. Awesome. Shattered Volcano is the kind of thing that Flying Fortress was, but for Mountain. Shattered Volcano, if you guys don't know, let me bring that up. Shattered Volcano, deal damage when you play an Earth card. So if you had 3 of them out and you laid 1 Boulder Feast, you will heal for 6. This essentially does 6 damage. It was really powerful in Granite when you had like 2 of them out, and Granite would increase this by 5, now 3, and it would deal like 7 damage, like 14 damage just for laying a Boulder Feast. That was ridiculous. So now having this be unique means you cannot over-abuse having like 3 of them on the board, laying 1, dealing 6, laying another Earth card, dealing another 6, have like huge point swings. Stuff like that I think did need to get changed, because it was stuff like that is going to get abused majorly for just huge turn swing combos. Like when your action cards can deal more damage than your combo cards, that's when like, maybe we should think about this, right? Unless it's like a really big setup like the Swamp Peddler and the Umbreon Salvager that take a lot of stuff to get out. But yeah, I'm happy with that unique. I think that's awesome. That's really good. Stone Scribe now has Burn. I don't think there's much to say about that other than go watch Bova play his deck. You'll understand why it needed Burn. Bova didn't mean to put you on the spot. Great job in finding that deck. Great job on building that with everyone in your community. But yeah. It's going to be missed by several people. Not by me, but by several people. I'm happy with the Burn. I'm happy that a lot of these cards are finally getting burned. Like you see like burn. All this stuff. There's a lot of cards that are getting burned that needed burn in the beginning. So I'm A-okay with it. Like I said, all on my list here. This was not one that I thought needed burn. Just because I didn't know what kind of synergies could happen. But I'm glad it did. Actually, there's not a lot of cards that have gone through here right now that I would have talked about errataing. So we'll see. That's Stubborn Everrock, which is also getting burned. Stone Scribe is the one that holds the cards under it, right? Rocket Star, thank you for correcting me. I'll just edit that later. We'll do it in editing, right? We'll just do it. Stubborn Everrock is the one that's getting burned. Stone Scribe is also getting burned because it stores your cards under it, which would then, store a bunch of your action cards. Then you just bring Stone Scribe back with something and do it all over again. Do an infinite loop like that. So that's A-okay. Both of them A-okay. We've seen them both heavily abused in infinite lockout decks like that. So kudos to you guys for giving those cards burn. As much as I would love to see an infinite lockout deck, I do not think it's healthy for this young of a game. I do not, especially if your only hope to beat that type of deck is, hey, you better be rushing me down super quick, because that means that only aggro beats it, and every other single deck style that you want to play, mid-range control, whatever, instantly loses to me. That's when I'm kind of like, you should be able to pull off maybe a 50 to 75% lockout. But then there should be a tech card that you can tech in as a sideboard that prevents you from doing that. That should be where the 25% is, for your sideboard for you to tech in these cards. Especially on the digital format, if you just keep running into that, obviously you're going to, okay, I've been running this 3 decks in a row, tech in this card so I don't lose to that. That's how this stuff should work. They should build a counter to it, and if there's 100% lockout, there is no counter, you need to change it. You need to change it for the health of the game. I strongly approve of all these. So, awesome. Temple of Patience now has clunky corners, 5-4-3. If you guys didn't know Temple of Patience, I actually didn't even know that this is how this worked. Temple Temple of Patience was 5 healing whenever your enemy plays a combo. It's not the next time your enemy plays a combo. It's when it plays a combo. This thing sticks on board, and I did not know that for the longest time. I don't know why I left. I did not know that for the longest time until I played someone against it, and I hit him for a combo. I think it was like Planetary Alignment. They healed for 5, hit him for 12. Then next turn I was like, wait, why is it still on board? And I think Twitch chat was even like, it stays. It's not the next time. It's not like Emergency System. It's not like, all those other buffs. This sticks on board. And I was like, that is so dumb. So, like, I love the 5-4-3. It's awesome. It's a great tech card. It's one of those, like, hey, if you try to finish me with combos, you're not going to be able to do it as well as you want, so you're probably going to have to Crystal Leech it. Shives that stays playing is so annoying. So I'm very happy about the Clink Corners. I would actually be okay if it was just 5-4. I personally don't think it needs 3. I don't think it needs the 3. I think it can be fine with just 5-4. I think it's still going to be a very overpowered card. Because if it's only when you play a combo, there's only 5 combos in the entire deck. So your options are you get it out super early, you get the full benefit from it unless they Crystal Leech it. Late game, your opponent's probably laid 2 or 3 combos, and you get it and still only get 5 and 4. So like it's only really good early game when you don't need the healing. So that third corner really doesn't even matter. It's just, hey, it sticks out there in case you're playing, combo recursion decks and stuff like that. You get another 3 healing. Cool. But I just don't think it needs the 3. You can cut that out and be perfectly fine. And this card would still be run. It doesn't need a 3. If it would say like the next time you're going to take damage from a combo, heal, then yeah, because there's a lot of combo buffs out there that like Lightning Storm would just take that thing away, right? That'd be fine. But it's just when you play it, I'm like, it doesn't need a 3. Still get full benefit from a 5 and 4, and you'd be fine. Wrath of the Mountain damage has been reduced from 12 to 10. Yay! It's one of those that, it's not really going to be noticed that much. Yes, the 12 damage to 10 is 2 damage loss, which could be, detrimental. But the fact that Wrath of the Mountain is just an OP combo. Moves 2 action cards from their hand to the deck. Mountain does not need hand disruption. Mountain has so much amazing burst damage, healing, and all this ridiculous stuff that Wrath of the Mountain was always run. It was the number 1 combo outside of Shatter Blast in Mountain that ran. And it's just like, yeah, it's 12 damage. And if your opponent had a chance to heal you the next turn, well, they're not going to. And I'm going to push for lethal because they got rid of 2 cards that probably would have saved them. I'm like, why? Why? And in my opinion, I don't think Avalanche got an errata either. And I strongly think that Avalanche should be like they move 3 attack cards. I don't think it needs to be every single one. That's that. Or at least have it do like 5 damage and not 10. That needs an errata, and I think that was very overly missed. Because that's just a broke back of a combo. Especially when it's like, hey, I'm going to hit you for 10. You might have had lethal next turn, but now all your attack cards go away, and now I can very easily push for lethal, especially for playing aggro. It just swings the whole thing. It got one. Oh, it did. Sweet. Awesome. Thank you, Rangathor. I didn't actually see it when I saw it the first time. Like I said, I saw this at work, scrolled through it, and just saw a bunch of the burn, and was like, yes, I'm super happy, and then had to try and talk on Discord while I was working. So I skimmed over this, I will admit. What I did saw was amazing. So Ambush, the damage increased has been reduced to 5. I think it was 7 and 6, and now it's to 7 and 5. So it loses 1 point. 1 point. Yay. It's fine. I mean, it's just more balancing issues, which are completely fine. These balancing issues we're all okay with. Nothing's broken, nothing ruined the game. Everything's fine. Just from the outside, looking into some of the rotating cards, and certainly dependent on what Uprising does, it seems like they are trying to cut direct damage sources by just a point or 2 each and prolong the game a few more turns. Do you get the same impression? I do, actually. I do. If they're cutting it by like 1 or 2, I can definitely see how they're trying to make the game not be so, hey, you're dead by turn 5 type of thing. Which is awesome because, as I didn't mention this before, and I will now because Cowboy Hat Valor just dawned in my head, these erratas, mind you, all this stuff is getting rotated out. The erratas that are sticking are at the bottom under the core section. These erratas are going to be sticking around come Uprising as well. So these erratas are also probably being taken into effect by Play Fusion, saying like, hey, we know what Uprising is, we know what it consists of. We need to preemptively errata the current cards so that when this set comes out, the current cards don't make this broken as all heck. Like, they probably did that too, and a lot of other games do it as well. I know Hearthstone does that a lot, where they errata cards for almost sounds like no reason. But then the new set comes out and you're like, okay, I can see why you did that now. Yep, I can see why that card needed an errata. I didn't know that because I didn't see the new card. But you guys did. You foresaw the future and what the problems will be. That's a good call. Good call on you guys. So think about that as well. Once we get down to the core section, that those erratas may not seem like much, but they probably were taken under consideration from the Uprising cards. So just something to keep in mind. So yeah, Ambush went down by 1. Awesome. It probably helps make it so that lethal range isn't like, hey, if you're at 15, you're dead. That's like half health. Why would you be dead at half health? So I do like the fact that they're lowering it by like 1, making you really have to try and push the lethal range. Cassilia's ability now requires a card to be hand to be used. Thank you so much. Oh my word. There was a deck out there that literally is like, hey, my deck is empty. I'll heal for 4, draw a card. Next turn, I lay that card, I'll heal for 4, no disregard. Then it's like, okay, I heal for 4, draw a card. Lay that card, heal for 4. Heal for 4, draw a card. And you would never die. It was the slowest grind in the world and you would never die because you healed for so much. So having this require a card in hand, mwah, beautiful. Beautiful. And there's a lot of other cards like that say like, there's a lot of the conditional, it's like, hey, if you lay this, you have to discard a card. And if you don't have it in hand, super benefit. I feel like those ones need to get changed like some of them did. I know Fumbling Alchemist did get changed. I'm very happy about that. I'm not sure if Gemruff got changed or anything like that where you had to discard a card and there was a chance like if it was the only card in your hand, you just got major benefit from it and that was it. Cards like these need conditionals, not I think cards for this game, in my opinion, this is a video, I'm going to post it later when I get, stuff. Conditional cards that can be improved are very healthy for this game as opposed to cards where you have to play around the drawback. Because the drawback, think about it, Bruiser, I'll take 2 damage to deal 6 damage to you. That's fine. Bruiser, in my opinion, should read like, hey, deal 4 damage, you take 2 if you actually took the 2, or like if you're under 15, increase it by 2. Something like that, where like if you're low at health, increase the damage by it. So it's conditional, and it's not just always 6. Because that's ridiculous. Especially with the rules where it's like if you die on the same turn as your opponent does, you win. You win. It should be whoever takes the damage first drops out. If that was the case, Electrified Moat would be the most busted buff run ever. Because you could put some moats out there and it's like, okay, go ahead and attack me. You're dead if you attack me. You have to remove these. And you can only remove them with attack cards, so you're dead. I auto-win. Like, that's kind of the balancing issue on it. But, yeah, I think the creating the conditional to these cards and these abilities is very healthy for the game, and I much approve of them. Because otherwise they're overly abused if there's no drawback to get the benefit. Mantic's Raider has base damage reduced to 2. I think Mantic's Raiders was 3. I think it was 3, increase its damage by 1. If I type in Mantic's, I'm going to get a lot, aren't I? Mantic's Raiders. So yeah, it's the equal to the number of cards in the hand plus 3, and now it's just the equal to cards in the hand plus 2. So it is just like minor changes on the damage, like Cowboy Hat Valor said, to kind of really make it so you weren't dying as fast. It could actually play the game. So the aggro wasn't just broke back. Regrowth can now only move action buffs back. Regrowth is moved 2 buffs of any kind. Now it's 2 action buffs of any kind. I kind of agree. Someone said on Discord that this one should have been brought down to maybe a 3-cost combo, and now that it's only limiting to action cards. I can agree with that. I can. Mind you, it also gives you 5 healing too. So if you think about that and getting 2 buffs back into play, and for nature, there's a lot of just really good buffs. Like I'll take a Stampeding Tusker and a Hungry Behemoth at the very end of the game that after their buff removal's gone, and 5 healing. That's ridiculous. Like, oh my god, yes, I'll take that any day of the week. So I'm okay with it being 4 still. I'm okay with it being 4. Mind you, this is getting, completely kicked to the side once Uprising comes out. We don't want to improve these cards that we're errataing. We want to balance their power level, and if it was very strong, we don't want to be like, oh, we weaken it, but then we improve it, type of thing. That's not a errata. That's a different card. That's a different card entirely. Just make a different card. Spectral Web. The corners are now 0/0/0 and only protects other buffs. I literally could have made a 30-minute video on different variations of how this card should work, and this was one of them. I had the 0/0/0 other buffs. I had X 0/0/0. Where the first turn, it's like, hey, it has the same thing, but the first turn, you could answer it. You could try and remove it. You could try and do anything like that. It was like 0x00, like Stormwall for Storm, where you couldn't attack those turns, you couldn't remove it, but the second corner, you had a chance to remove it. So you had a turn to look through it. It was the same buff it is, but it could not be restarted or returned to your hand. So that once it was gone, it was gone. With burn, that's awesome. It was, same thing, prevents other buffs. Or it also just had, it was 0/0/0, read the same thing it had, but also read cannot be restarted. So that there was no way you could restart it, you could return it to your hand, nothing like that. So once it was out there, and then there was 3 turns where your opponent couldn't remove your buffs, and then it was gone. It just, in the graveyard, you couldn't do any funny tricks with it. So there's a lot of things they could have done with Spectral Web, and I'm very happy that this was one of them. Because Spectral Web was a broke-back card that literally your opponent laid it and was like, all right, now I win. What are you going to do? You have 3 turns where you can't do anything to my board. Have fun. So that is a much-needed errata, and I'm super happy about that. Tree Sprout, same thing as Ancient Miner. It actually reads, instead of 2/1, it's X1, X2. So you get healing improved, but the card draw is sporadic, which is what card draw needs to be. It doesn't need to be instantaneous. It can be sporadic to give your opponent a chance to remove it before you get major benefit out of it. So yeah, that was all nature. Nature got a lot. Storm, oh my word, Storm got a lot. I didn't even notice this on my phone. Woo! Cleansing Wind, the damage has been reduced to 8 from 9 to 8. Okay, I'm okay with that. Just 1 less damage, still has the same effect. Awesome, great to go. Cloud Harvester now is burn. Yeah, probably for the same reason that Bova did, where it can bring back lightning cards, and then you can bring back that action card to then bring back your lightning cards, then bring back that action, and bring back your lightning cards. Like, stuff that has graveyard recursion in my mind. Any card that can bring a card back from the discard pile should have burn on it. You should not be able to bring back a card that then brings back another card that can bring back that card. That every card that does something with the graveyard should have burn on it, in my opinion. And I'm seeing now, look, burn. There was burn up there. There's probably burn down there. It's a tech that is very underused because they didn't want to put it on. They wanted to like make it so that all these amazing cards had burn. But then we found ways around it. And they need burn. And I'm happy they're all getting burn. I really am. I know a lot of people are like, oh no, my infinite loops, all this stuff is broken. But guys, it needed it. It needed it. Trust me, it needed it. And I'm so happy about it. Confused Shaman now heals your target first, and you only receive the healing if they have less than 35 health after they heal. Now, this is actually a much major change than I thought they were going to do, because you can heal them. A lot of cards like, hey, if you're like Triana, if your opponent at least healed for 1, then you get the effect. No. This means when you heal them for 4, if you heal them to max, you don't get the healing. They have to be at 30 or less for you to get 7 healing. So Confused Shaman got just a big old bat to the face. Like, Confused Shaman was there for mill and stall. You didn't care if your opponent got healed because you weren't dealing damage to him. This is literally saying, hey, you only heal for 7 if your opponent is at 30 or less. So I hope you're dealing damage on that. Which I think a lot of people are... I don't know, they may run this over... They may run like 1 or 2 just for that extra heal in like a burn deck. Maybe, well, not a burn deck because you want your opponent to die first. But like, I don't think this card is going to see much play with this strong of an errata. Outside of like maybe really strong, really like OTK decks, where they'll do like, a Spark Wisp, then heal you for 4, just to get that big heal. We'll see. We'll have to see what they come up with. But yeah, my errata for this card was you heal for 3, then your opponent heals for 4. If your opponent healed for 4, like for a full 4, then you also heal for 4. Kind of that thing where it was still like, yeah, it's still 3 healing, which is awesome. And then, if your opponent healed for 4 and they were at less than 30, kind of what they did, then you heal for an additional 4. Because I do think that most classes have a heal for 6. In my opinion, you should either have a heal for 6 or a conditional heal for 7 in your alignment. And the fact that Water got both a heal for 6 and a heal for 7 just kind of makes me go, why? Why did it need it? Tech didn't get a heal for 6 and a heal for 7. They got a conditional heal for 7 and a buff that heals them for 7, which is now like just, what it is. Mountain only got Boulder Feast, and then it eventually got a heal for 4. It didn't get a heal for 7. Lunar got a heal for a conditional 7. It didn't have a heal for 6. Dread has a heal for 4 and 2 damage. Like, its heal for 7 was a buff that then hurt it if it wasn't able to be removed. Like, there's no reason that Storm needed a heal for 6 and a heal for 7 card. No reason at all. So I'm happy this one got like such a nerf bat that makes it very difficult to get the full bonus out of the 7 healing. So that's good on you guys. I'm very happy about that. Fishsinger Usi now only reduces the cost of 3 and 4 cost combos, which a lot of people were abusing. Storm calling, lightning storm, flying debris now, especially with lunar. That's a combo though. Lunar has a heal for 11. It's actually healing for 10 now. It doesn't have a heal for 11 anymore. It's heal for 10. But that was a combo. Combos are fine to do that. Nope, which one? Okay, which one are you talking about? Lunar can heal for 7 or for 11 how? With one card? Wrangler, what's the card? I'm stopping this. An action buff. Oh, you have to wait 4 turns for that. Okay. It's not instantaneous. That's what I was more referring to. That's what I was... Okay, I understand what you're saying. But that's instantaneous. The cards I'm talking about were all instantaneous. There was never a... you have to wait 4 turns to get this healing. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Lunar Offering. That's a fine buff, in my opinion. Yeah. I get what you're saying. But Lunar has a conditional 7 and then a, hey, I'm going to wait 4 turns to heal for 11. You can remove the buff. Okay, I got strong other buffs. It's like one of those buffs. It's like, do you heal it? Do you not remove it? Kind of those things. So, I get what you're saying, but it's, in my opinion, not in the same league as instantaneous action defend cards. But yeah, Fish Slinger Ushi would just massively abuse, like, Flying Debris, especially now that they have Storm King, which is a... There was a network error. Please try again. Did my stream go down? It says there was a network error. Is my stream fine? I want to ask right now. Okay. No, stream is fine. Okay, perfect. Okay. I was a little afraid. Like, I went over to Twitch and it's like, there's a network error. And I was like, no, not in the middle of conversation. And then I looked over on the OBS. It's like, no, you're fine. So I was just freaking out. Thank you guys very much. So yeah, now that Fish Slinger Ushi, because they also have, the best combo payments in the game, stuff that stays in your hands, stuff that can pay for anything, having Fish Slinger Ushi be there to only pay for 3 and 4 cost combos, I think is a good nerf. I think it's a good errata to make it so he's less abusive towards, like, hey, if you want to play a Fish Slinger Ushi, especially if you want to be aggro, just put all 2 cost combos in your deck, and they'll really only cost you 1 card. 1 card for a combo. Sometimes if it's air and you have Storm King, it costs you nothing. And I'm like, wow, that is broken. That is busted beyond belief. So the fact that it makes 3 and 4 cost combos down to 2 and 3, perfectly fine. Not busted at all. It fits a nice power level that I think is going to be fine. Especially when Uprising comes out and you play casual. If there's a bunch of just 2 cost combos that Ushi would wreck with, like, play those in casual. That's where we're going to find the fun, ridiculous stuff. Flood, the healing is reduced to 10 from 11. Yay. Stuff to just kind of slow down the game, I guess. Healing Rain. The corners are now 4/4/4. What was Healing Rain before? That is not how you spell rain. Wow, okay, it is. 4/4/5. Okay. Yay. 1 less healing in the end. Yay. Just another one of those things that's like, it didn't need it, but it got it. Just for balancing issues. Make the game a little fair. Perfectly fine. Awesome. Hurricane Spirit. The number of cards drawn is also derived from the rotation value. So instead of drawing 3 cards, you draw 2. A-okay. That card was busted beyond belief, and you would always include it in any Storm deck ever. I'm happy about that, because card draw is really important in this game, and being able to draw 3 cards while your opponent ditches 2. Like, that's still just really good. That's probably always going to be running 3 cards in a Storm deck, if not 2, just with how powerful that is. That's insanely amazing. Storm Shaman, the corners are now XX4. Like I said, with Colossal Ritual Site, this is a card where you slammed it down and you said, hey, I hope you don't have any attack cards or any buff removal, because if you don't, you're going to get hit like a truck next turn. This gives your opponent time to prepare, time to try and search for an answer. They get 1 turn to do it, yes, but 1 turn drawing 2 cards out of probably less than 20 at that point, probably good. Probably pretty good. Storm Shell now only reduces damage after taking a hit of at least 3 in a turn. Storm Shell, obviously, you're allowed to use these broken items again, like Storm Shell and Forge Wall and whatnot. But it needed it, because Storm Shell was literally, after the first damage, every other damage past it was 1, or 1 less. So, like, it would overly abuse, especially if you're going against, like, Abyss Tentacles, if you're going against Nature with its Insect Swarms, they would poke you for 1, then everything after that would be reduced by 1. So now, like, small damage can still get through Storm Shell. Storm Shell is meant to prevent you from taking, like, really big hits. and just trying to mitigate that damage. But if you're taking like 2 and 2 and 2 and 2 and 2, it shouldn't be like 2, then 1, then 1, then 1, then 1, then 1. Because that's way too much mitigation in my opinion. Way too much. So Storm Shell, I think, was a great errata. I think that's perfectly fine with how they worded it to really make it so it's like, hey, I teched 1 Storm Shell in, now Sicario doesn't do anything to me. Perfect. Tempest Rod now requires at least 2 cards in hand. Tempest Rod was another one where I think it's like you discard 2 cards to remove a buff from your opponent. Just like Cecilia, discard a card, heal for 4. You don't have a card in hand, you can just use the ability for free. This is another one of those conditional where you have to meet the condition or you don't get the effect. Which is, I think, the better way of going instead of just the drawback of these erratas. And I'm super happy about this one as well, where Tempest Rod was very overly abused to just be in control decks. And it's like, hey, I have no hand, remove a buff, remove a buff, remove a buff, remove a buff, remove a buff. It should cost you something to control your opponent that heavily. Tornado has burn and Zapperbug has burn. Finally. Tornado was another one, along with Stormcalling. Does Stormcalling not have burn? I thought Stormcalling got burn. Did it get burned before this errata? Did Stormcalling get burned before this errata? Can someone confirm that? I thought Stormcalling got burned. But Tornado getting burned is huge as it gets you back 4 action cards. And like Zapperbug also gets you back action cards. Like stuff that brings back things from the graveyard need to have burn. Say it once, say it again. Need to have burn. I thought Stormcalling... it is a standard card, so it's in the list at the... Rocket Star, thank you. Thank you. I'm jumping way ahead of myself. Thank you very much. That's the reason it's not here, because that's still part of the set. Tornado is not, obviously. Thank you. I was getting way ahead of myself. Thank you, Rocket Star and Chives, for catching me on that. So on to tech. Wow, these are a lot. Clockwork Construct is now burn. We can see from HS Cosmos deck how a card that can bring back a buff for a buff needs to have burn, especially if you're like, hey, a buff for a buff, bring back an action card, buff for a buff, bring back an action card, all this ridiculous stuff. It had another potential of just causing an infinite loop. And if you can cause an infinite loop, maybe we need to fix something. Clockwork Construct has the same thing. It's Graveyard Recursion, so put burn on it. That should be like a staple #1, like, period right there in the rules of card making for Lightseekers. If it affects the graveyard in any way, put burn on it, so it cannot keep coming back. Forge Wall only reduces the first hit of damage per turn if the condition is met. Awesome. Because Forge Wall was another one abused that I abused very well in Granite. Not to just get teched, but to be when I'm below 15, really slow down your damage to me so I have a chance to heal back up a lot more efficiently. So Forge Wall only reduces the first hit by 1 every turn. Mind you, there's no reason... And so it's kind of conditional between Storm Shell and Forge Wall now. Forge Wall will always be 1 damage mitigation, kind of how like Turtle Captain is, where it's only the first one, how Pollen Weaver's only the first one. Forge Wall being only the first one is A-okay in my book. A-okay, perfectly fine. Rock out with your socks out. Fumbling Alchemist now deals a base of 4 and can be increased to 6 by discarding a combo. That is awesome. That's what I said by the conditions being met as opposed to the drawbacks not having any side effect whatsoever. Especially in tech when it's so easy to just ditch your cards from your hand back into your deck so you just don't have to meet that condition. I think Fumbling Alchemist was a much needed errata to be changed. Especially if you're still allowing 3 in this digital format. That is great. You do not need that many 6 damaging cards. At all. At all in one alignment. Looper is now a buff. Now that threw me for a loop. Looper's a buff rather than an attack card. I was like, wait, what? Looper is now X7. Your target draws 1 card as it enters play, and the second corner deals rotation damage. So when you lay it, your opponent literally gets to draw a card. And it's like, okay, I gave you a card. Can that card help me remove this? If not, it's now a Drago Scorcher, essentially, with just 1 more damage. Which is really nice because, like, with the increase of this, if this card now starts becoming more prominent, you'll probably see a lot more of that Bulwark Carrier that's like prevent 7 has X. Like the Bulwark Carrier is to stop a Looper now. Like that's awesome. I think that's really interesting how those cards kind of counterbalance each other. Because before, Bulwark Carrier was almost never seen. Why would you run something like that unless you knew you were going to get hit like a Mack truck? And yeah, now that's just really cool. Like if people start running Loopers, I bet you anything people will start running Bulwark Carriers. Yeah. Like 1 or 2 just to prevent that. I mean, Bulwark Carriers now is an out with Storm Shaman, with Colossi Ritual Site, all that stuff. Just put that down. I'm surprised actually more people haven't run that, but of course that would mean that the increase in the spike damage meta that has those like 9-10 damage swings from a single card, that's where Bulwark Carrier would go in with, like, when the Shaman comes down, lay the Carrier, you prevent it, or you waste their Shaman without buff removal. So that's good too. Shatter Blast, the damage increase has been reduced to 5. I think Shatter Blast was 8 and then 6, so it dealt 14. Now it just does 13. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. There's no reason that Shatter Blast should do the same as Time Collapse. Putting that out there right away. Time Chamber. Its damage can no longer be increased by effects. Time Chamber is the one defend one, right? Yeah. Deal damage to target when you defend. Now, this was obviously very much abused when people would run it like this, along with more often than not with the Observatory. So in Astral especially, you defend a lot in Astral. So putting one Time Chamber in there to then run the Observatory, 2 defend cards equals 8 damage. And you get 2 turns of that bizarreness. So having it not be increased by effects is A-okay. It's A-okay. You should not have a major point swing like that for 2 consecutive turns, super easy to get, just from defending. I know I built a deck with Asavak where, like, hey, I healed for like 7 and dealt 7 to you. That was like a whole 3 turns setup and all that stuff, where you waited like 4 turns for it to go off. This is literally like the turn afterwards you could do it, and just there was nothing your opponent could do about it. So Time Chamber is A-okay. It can't be increased by effects. There's a lot of cards out there that say can't be increased by effects. The Spectral Widow is a perfect example of that, why it should not be able to be increased by effects. Time Flicker draws you 3 cards instead of 4. A-okay with that. A-okay. I have been so kind of butthurt when someone first turn Time Flickers and essentially like dumps 2 cards to draw, 4 cards, get additional action, then draw a card for combo. So it's like, hey, I ditched 2 and this combo, and I just drew 6 cards. And you're just like, why? Oh, God, why? That was like the best turn 1 in tech in the world. Because then you had 6 cards, and it was most likely all tech aggro. So you just, and all your 6 damaging cards. And you're like, wow, this is ridiculous. And with Time Chamber now being allowed to come back and be played with the Tusk Rage, because Tusk Rage usually you didn't run it in there because, classic format, you really couldn't. Now you can run it in there with Anti-Magic Pulse. Awesome combos. I think Tusk Rage is going to be a lot better than he was trying to be in Classic. I think I'm actually going to try and build a Tusk Rage deck now with all this stuff coming out, so that's awesome. Where was I? Time Leap is now Burn. I think Time Leap was a combo that I didn't even really see play. But once again, it brings something back from the discard pile, so it should have Burn. When your last discarded buff into play, gain 1 additional action. A lot of people would abuse this with the combo buffs, obviously, like, and it is only 1 alignment, so time. So you could run this in like a Vine Lash deck. You could run it in anything. Giving a burn that does something with the graveyard should be standard now for them, because they've seen how ridiculous card recursion is in this game. Looper then on burn format. Yeah, that was really good too. That was really good. Warden of Time is now burned, so that you can't, like I said before, it's not limited to 1, so you can have 3 of the deck. Warden of Time could just bring back Warden of Time to bring back Warden of Time and another card, Warden of Time and another card. It was an infinite cycle. You couldn't do anything about it. And having that get burn is super good. Super good. Graveyard Recursion has burn. Cannot say that enough. Cannot say that enough, and I'm super happy they're starting to do that. Zuna no longer has superior explosives, but her health has been increased to 30. Was Zuna at 28? Can anyone recall it? Was Zuna at 28? Oh, 29. Okay, so 1 health increase, but yeah, double supremacy over that. Essentially puts her in the same realm as Tempa's. She has more health than Tempa's, but instead of like recycling your hand to make it low, she gives your opponent card draw. So that's awesome. Why would you just not run Tempa's? Maybe there's a benefit to having your opponent have a larger size hand. I don't know. Yeah, they both now have the same superiority in time. You're definitely going to be drawing more and whatnot. Tempest does cut a card out from your hand where Zuna doesn't. And if you are like hyper tech aggro, you continuously drawing 2 cards without having to put one back might be beneficial than you having to ditch a card to draw 2. So it really all depends on whether you have Tempest or not, I guess. But yeah, a lot like Zuna's change. It's like, why would you not just run Tempest? It's the same exact hero. There's slight changes. And I'm sure like you can play the same deck, swap the hero out, and you'll be like, no, this deck actually runs better with Zuna because I'm not getting rid of a card to draw 2 cards. Where I literally want to play every single card I can every single turn. As opposed to, no, I'm searching for specific cards. I can dump these cards back and play a more slower style. I think Zuna will be the hyper aggro, where Tempest is more of a just traditional aggro and can fit other play styles. That's what I think. Yeah. I mean, it really all comes down to, like, where Zuna's like, yeah, you know, I don't need this healing right now. I'll draw 2, hopefully get more damage. Or Tempest is. Where Zuna's like, I don't even run healing. All my cards are attack cards. All my cards are damage. I want to go faced as fast as possible. I don't care if you're drawing cards, because you drawing cards doesn't matter to me. Especially if you're like, hey, you draw 1 card, then I run an Umbred Informant. Mind you, it has that nerf in it, but Umbred Informant is a lot better in this, whereas Tempest probably ran Umbred and Barkeep, because your hand was never increasing more than by 1. So, that's something to think about too. Avalanche, the damage was reduced to 8. Still not the nerf we needed, but the nerf we got. It's fine. It's fine. I wish it would have been nerfed a lot more in the damage, or been nerfed in the cards that bought back. I think that this card, like Dolo and like Granite, can still use another nerf. It could still use another nerf in there. They just got to find it. But with it being rotated out come Uprising, this minor nerf I'm okay with. If it was a card that's sticking around after Uprising, that's when I'd be like, hey, play Fusion. Can we talk about Avalanche? Because this is ridiculous. Night Hunt's damage is reduced from 9 to 10. Or 10 to 9. Which I think Night Hunt is only like 2 of these selected superiority, right? 2 action cards, yeah. 2 action cards, so not even combos. Where I want to say Avalanche... Does Avalanche hit action only? All their attack... No, it's combos. It hits combos, too. Come on! Like, there is a very big difference. I don't think 1 point of damage difference can compare Night Hunt to Avalanche. I don't think it can at all. That's ridiculous. But it is what it is. We will learn. We will see what PlayFusion's thoughts are on it, as it is going completely out of standard entirely. I'm sure they didn't want to nerf it to make them completely bad combos, because hybrid combos are supposed to be the top tier of all this stuff. So we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, Avalanche has always been one of the best ones in the entire game. Could still use another nerf, in my opinion. And then Star Blast, its damage and healing is reduced to 6. So it's 6 healing, 6 damage, as opposed to 7 healing, 7 damage, which, to think about, that was a 14-point swing. Now it's down to a 12-point swing. Like Cowboy Hat Valor said, really kind of like minorly lowering the damage and healing on both ends to make the game last a little longer, in my opinion. So it's not, hey, you're dead by turn 4 or 5. So Star Blast, I'm okay with. You start. I think decks that run Star Blast now might even start running the Observatory, because it increases both the healing and the damage. So if you run that, it's then 8 and 8. Like, just the fact that it does both of them as opposed to just damage, I think is okay to reduce them by 1. If these all got like reduced by 2, by 1, all this stuff, that's a fine one to reduce. The unaligned cards, almost to the standard cards, guys, almost there. Unaligned. Frenzied Creeble now requires you to have 2 or fewer cards in hand to increase its damage. Thank you, especially since this card has been so OP in aggro decks, where you're like, yeah, I have 3 cards. Our 4th one is Frenzied Creeble. Lay this for 6, then I still have 3 other cards. Like, it should have been like, if you lay this card out of your hand, it's still counted as in your hand, so it would still count as 4. You really need to be down to 2 cards to make that viable, and that's a great number to have. It's a great number to have. You're down to 2, you deal 6. If you lay another action card, you're down to 1. You better hope that 1 kills them next turn, but they don't heal or don't defend. It's a needed to happen, especially if you're still allowed to run 3 in digital. Very critical on that. Very good. I approve of that nerf. Creeble Raiding Party. Increased damage. This increase from discarded on a line card has been reduced to 2. Awesome. So now it's a max of 6 rather than a max of 7. which is fine. It's awesome. The Umbra Marauder has a max of 6 damage, obviously, so it's a defend card if you have less health or more health. Frenzied Creeble only goes up to 6. A lot of other cards only have a max of 6 unless they're like extreme conditions to be met. So having this one just be like, yeah, if you discard another card, it does more than Fumbling Alchemist. And having Fumbling Alchemist literally say, hey, you have to discard a combo to increase it by 2. Creeble Raiding Party, I think, is a very fine nerf indeed. Especially just discard an line card. I already have all my weapons out. Tantosian, bye-bye. Like all that, you don't care. You don't care at that point. Shadowy Figure, the damage has been reduced to 3. So 1 less damage, but I think Shadowy Figure is the one that moves a card of an alignment from your opponent's hand. So if something like, hand disruption is what I like to call it, hand disruption, reducing that damage to move something back from the hand, I think is awesome. I think it's perfectly fine. You should not get a major damage point swing and hand reduction to, like, that's just... I'm surprised this card actually was not run, like, 3 of in a lot of decks. I'm actually very surprised about that. But when you have cards that do, like, 6 and 7 and all that stuff, I guess you don't care what their hand is if you can get the major damage in. Now on to these standard cards that are sticking around. These are the cards that will be around past Uprising, that their digital errata will be coming to the physical format as well, along with digital. So we're using these digital ones before they get implemented into physical. But like I said, once Uprising comes out, all of these will also take effect come physical as well. Beastcaller has now Burn and Unique, and I believe Beastcaller is the buff where if the top card of your discard pile is a beast, prevent 2 damage or something like that, right? Am I thinking of the right card? No, I'm not entirely. No. When a beast buff your enemy controls expires, draw 1 card. If it was a beast buff, it's moved to the bottom of your deck. I almost consider that Graveyard Recursion, where you can just keep storing your beast buffs if they have no more buff removal, and cause an infinite loop of just beast buffs. Just beast buff after beast buff after beast buff after beast buff. Obviously, it's unique, so you can't... I don't know why it would be unique, too. Doesn't make sense. Obviously, so you have 2 out? Oh, because then you draw 2 cards. That's fair. Yeah, this 1 card does so much. Getting unique is fine on it. Getting burn on it is, once again, okay. So that you can't just, bring it back and then all your beast buffs come back to life and all that ridiculous stuff. So, once again, anything to do with Graveyard or not, or storing, or anything doing things like that, burn is a staple on it. Black Hole, the damage is reduced to 6. Now, that is a huge hit. Black Hole also dealing 9 and removing all their buffs. Like, a lot of people would just play it just to remove the buffs, right? And the combo payment. They didn't really care about the 9 damage. So this card will still be run. It just won't help you push for more lethal than it already does. I think that's a great damage reduction on this. It's not just 1, it's not just down to 8, it's down to 6. Mind you, it's still a 4-cost combo, removes all of your opponent's buffs. Still great utility to be a 4-cost combo that I personally don't even think it needed 9 damage. I'm okay with it. It could be like 5 or 4 damage and I'd still run that thing. Just for the payments alone, just for the utility to remove your opponent's buffs. Yeah, Black Hole losing damage didn't really affect it more than Astral doesn't have, like, all the best damage dealing combos in the entire game compared to Mountain. That's what it got. It got more utility as opposed to damage. Canopy Creeper now has Burn. Now that is the insect where if your last discarded buff is a beast, just put it back into play. Once again, Graveyard Recursion has Burn. I am liking this. What's the word? This theme that they have going, where if it deals anything with the graveyard or storing or anything like that, put that burn on it. Just get a big old burn stamp and put it right in the card. Cold Snap, the amount of buffs removed has been reduced to 2. That's good. Being able to remove 3 buffs with 1 combo buff is bonkers. Especially the deck that runs Thunder Slug, which literally like prevents your opponent from laying a buff the next turn. Like it has also Flood. Or not Flood, Crushing Rapids, which removes, all their buffs, I think. Crushing Rapids removes all their buffs as well. They don't need all those combos that remove mass board wipes. They really don't. Astro got Black Hole. Crushing Rapids. I'm going to just take a look at Crushing Rapids, because I don't think, now that I'm saying it, I don't think that it's all their buffs, but it very well could be. Yeah, remove all the buffs from other heroes. 5 healing, remove all the buffs. It doesn't need 2 combos that essentially are full board wipes for your opponent. It doesn't need it. There's no reason for it. So yeah, I think Cold Snap being down to 2 buffs is A-okay with me. Crystal Maze, we've already seen this. It wasn't implemented, but we saw it. This now makes it so they have to play a combo or have a combo buff before it triggers, which is awesome. Being able to be attacked, like you lay, it's either like, hey, you lay this for the 4 healing, or your opponent lay combo, you get 4 healing and an initial effect. It's not, oh, you just attacked me, cool, I mill you and I heal for 4. Like, that was way too much benefit just from being attacked. Like, just from being attacked, that's ridiculous. I think Focus Chamber has the same treatment, and Focus Chamber was still run. Focus Chamber read, draw a card. If a person has a combo off a player, late a combo, same thing. You draw an additional card. Imagine having that card read what Crystal Maze said. If you were attacked last turn, draw 2 cards. Like, what? That's ridiculous. That is such an awesome added benefit for something that happens so frequently, especially if it's like attack ability, stuff like that. It's like, hey, I was attacked, I get an added benefit. You tried to kill me, I get an added benefit. Like, it should have that where, the combo or combo buff and play, that's what it should read. I think that's awesome. Raising the Dead. Burn. Bring stuff back from the graveyard. Burn. I think that's all I have to say right now. Like, I've been repeating myself so often. Burn. Reality Rift no longer grants an additional action, but instead draws a card. Reality Rift getting additional action I thought was just bonkers to begin with, because you could literally put in 4 buffs and then draw a card for combo. So now it's like, hey, Reality Rift, bring 3 buffs back, draw 2 cards. Essentially what it means, because, unless you get an additional action somewhere else, you just get to draw 2 cards. Is great, because it prevented you from building that full board and then putting out a Subjugator or putting out a Spectral Web or anything like that to prevent your board, what you just built, from going anywhere. Like, as we saw from Bova, it's ridiculous when you can play an additional card or do an additional action to just really abuse the buffs that you brought back. It's going to take a lot of going around, but this is where I was saying no deck should have a 100% lockout. This one Reality Rift, nerfing that just by that much, brings it so it's like, hey, it's a 75% lockout. You know what cards I'm going to bring back. You can see my graveyard at all times. You know the buffs that I'm preventing to bring back. Those are coming back. Okay, did I bring back the can't attack, your buffs don't work, and then defend? Cool. I cannot also lay Stubborn Everrock on that same turn to prevent me from getting another full turn. That's what you have to deal with. If you can't do anything, you can defend next turn. Okay, cool, you can defend. Is there a way that I can restart these 2 buffs from going out and all this stuff? So, like, it really does prevent the 100% lockout and leads more into closer to the 60 to 75% lockout range, which is feasible. It's viable that you spent that entire time to get to such a high percentage lockout, but there still should be a way to be like, hey, I didn't completely ruin the game for you, completely made you sit through this whole thing just to put down your hand and go, okay, just kill me already. Just kill me already. So I'm okay with that. Reality Rift, I think it's a very feasible. It's not just saying like, no, it completely negates the action. They still give you an additional card. Awesome. Spirit Walk now has Burn. Gotta think about what Spirit Walk does. Oh, Graveyard Recursion. Burn. Put it on there. Move animal cards back to your deck. Graveyard Recursion. Put Burn on it. Storm Calling is now Burn. Yes! Oh my god, yes! That was abused so much with Greedy Gasbag and everything else that you could just bring your combos back, bring 1 Storm Calling back. People would literally run the Shadow weapon and then run Spirit Gate and run the I think it's like Blood Pact Redeemer. I can't think of the card. But it brings a combo back from your discard pile, put it in your deck. Everyone would just bring back Stormcalling because then Stormcalling brought back all their other combos. And then they just keep doing that for the longest time in the world. And anything with Graveyard Recursion needs Burn. I think we've learned our lesson by now. With the 4th set now coming up, I think we've learned our lesson. Unborn Informant, everyone knows the amount of cards has been capped at 4. Which actually is A-okay. I had a match on Monday against the Idea Man, who I think I counted every single time because I made a note of it. I was like, I think there was like maybe he did it to me like close to 8 times in the 3 games, and there was only like 1 or 2 times where he drew more than 4 cards, and it was like only like 5 or 6. So it's not even like that much of a nerf. It's just, hey, this puts this into its power level, so it's actually somewhat comparable to Barkeep and Unborn Informant. Like, this can match you draw a 4, but Barkeep like has a better chance of doing that max draw, where Unborn Informant, like, you have to play against a certain deck style. So they're very interchangeable now, as opposed to, no, why would you not run Unborn Informant? That can draw you like a max of 10 cards. Why would you not always run Informant? So I think that definitely helps, especially if like you're playing a control deck and you're playing hyper aggro. Being able to draw, like, dump your whole hand, having your opponent be like, okay, I gotta search for an answer. Dump your whole hand. Cool, I draw 10 cards, and your opponent's like, I'm just dead. He has all the answers now, and just for one card, that's ridiculous. So I think this cap is a very much needed thing. So that is muy bueno in my opinion. I think the cap was very needed. Very happy about it. Very applause approval to that. Guys, that's all the erratas we got today. We went through a bunch. I am very excited by all of them. There's a lot, like I said, in there that was kind of like, yay, cool. I don't think anyone's really going to notice that much. But Cowboy Hat Valor did make a very good point where, they're just mitigating damage and healing by 1 to kind of slow the pace of the game down to really help you play the game as opposed to being dead by turn 4 or 5. Which is awesome, because this game is amazing to play, not to sit down and then die after 5 minutes and go, wow, that was very fun. They prevented a lot of infinite lockout combos with the burn. I actually think, like, with all of this stuff now, all of these new erratas, all these new card changes, the meta is going to change completely, and there's going to be an uprising of a lot of different varieties of decks. And I can't wait to see what, people from Heroic Starfish, people from Superior Seekers, what they come up with, because I know for a fact they're already theory crafting about these erratas. They're already trying to find the most, broken, ridiculous things to do. Where people like me who just play to have fun and casual stuff, I'm going to come up with a bunch of fun things now. I was never restricted by like trying to find infinite loops and having burn and stuff like that. I just wanted to have fun, try and build a theme. And I think a lot, because of all this stuff, the more theme style decks, the more family style decks are actually going to be pretty competitive. No pun intended. Exactly. No pun intended at all. But yeah, I think those family decks are actually going to have an uprising, and I'm gonna revisit a lot of my, if not all of my family decks now that I don't have to be limited to the classic format, and can just play them on digital. And I'll put those on TradeDraw.cards as like errata format is what I will call it, and I want everyone else to start calling it that, so that I'm not the only one saying it. Errata format for the next few months on digital. The rise of the robots. Dude, you know it. Especially now, though, that Clockwork Construct, you're going to include 3 of them in the deck. Oh my god! I don't know why I wasn't. That was such a good card. But yeah, I hope everyone has fun with these erratas like I am going to starting Saturday. I think it's going to be an amazing time. A lot of the decks out there that I've seen, even from classic format, really didn't get that much errata or changed. It might have been like a few damage, healing points, whatnot. Some things may have got burned. That's like, oh, that was fine. But like the burn really only prevented people from performing those infinite loop combos. So with this, with the erratas, and all this stuff like that, I don't think that classic format is really going to change all that much. Mind you that like the physical format won't see it at all. But with all of these changes for the erratas, I do think the game is going to be in a much healthier state. There's going to be a lot more people on ranked now, like an upsurge of at least 200 to 500% people, because they're like, yeah, Sicario's dead. Everyone on a rank ladder. Everyone climb. And we're going to see a lot better and a lot healthier variety on that ranked format, as opposed to just the only 5 people that could stomach playing Sicario for 5 hours a day to get to Masters, which is awesome. It's going to make the race to get to Nationals so much easier. And if you want to think about this also, the people who are complaining about the physical format, like, oh, we're spending all this time to do it. If you want to compare the people to the physical format to the people that now will play digital, you probably have like 30 to 40 dedicated people on physical that you have to compete with, as opposed to 5 to like several thousand people now on digital that you have to compete with. 30 people physical, thousands of people digital. Only 2 people from digital get to go. I think it's like 6 people from physical that get to go. You're very much spending your money, and you're earning a very nice spot. You have a much better chance in that one. That's why you're spending the money there. You play on digital, you can sit your butt on a couch for however many hours you want to spend in the game in this format, and there's a very limited chance you get to that top spot, especially now with the first 3 seasons counting towards invitationals. So I don't want to sound mean. I don't want to sound rude when I say this, so please put this with a kindness of your heart and an asterisk. Do not complain to me that the formats are different and that you're spending so much money doing these physical tournaments that you're dedicated to it. Because I've said before, there's been several times where a lot of tournaments have different rules and different formats that they play to, which all lead to one tournament which has a completely different format as well. And that you chose to do physical where you only really compete against like 30 people at most, dedicated people, when you're trying to compete against 5 to 10,000 people online for that same spot. You're putting that money in to get a much easier acquired spot, as opposed to the time and amount that it takes to sit on your couch and play digitally and climb that ladder. I think it evens out. I think it's fair. I think it's all around fun. People are obviously more than welcome to complain. They're more than welcome to give their views and whatnot. All I'm saying is that's my view on it. I think everything is fine and balanced. I think PlayFusion is doing a great job So Thunderfin salute to everyone at Play Fusion. Thunderfin salute to everyone who decided on these erratas, are making this game as amazing as it is, working their hardest to get Uprising out for us, but still giving us a way to have fun and make the game fresh as opposed to stale like it has been since Standard was in format. So thank you guys again for listening to me, for coming back on for another, oh god, it's 11 o'clock, I gotta go to bed, for another like hour and a half of me talking about these erratas. This was a huge news update that a lot of people wanted to cover, I know that, so I'm really happy I was able to do that on a stream, on a separate stream. So thank you guys again for sticking around, for listening to me talk about this, about all these news changes, giving my opinion on everything as well. And I cannot wait to see you all on Ranked with some of these decks. I'll be having a lot of fun. I know you guys will as well. So thank you guys for for tuning in with me, listening to me literally with no background music, just talking about the news. I'm going to put this on YouTube. Hopefully we get a lot of comments there as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are the reason I do this. You guys are the reason I'm here. Without you, I'm talking to a camera and I sound like a doofus. So thank you guys for viewing and sticking with me, listening to my view, giving me feedback, talking to me about like, oh, hey, you missed this stuff. Hey, don't get too hyped. It's coming at the bottom. Thank you guys for making me not look like a doofus. I applaud every one of you. Thank you again. Follow me on Twitter for updates. Follow me on YouTube for YouTube exclusive content. I have my list right here, and trust me, come April when I move into my new apartment, get my green screen and all that stuff going on, there is going to be YouTube exclusive content. Burritos Lolos, add you in game. Burrito, I'll say this before and I've said it again. I don't want to sound mean or anything, so please do not take this the wrong way. I personally don't add people in game unless I have met you in person or we have a personal connection. Otherwise, I'm just literally adding everyone in stream chat, and then it's like, well, my friends list gets bogged up. Who do I remove to add people that I have grown connections with? So I just don't add people from chat in game unless I've met you at a convention, got to know you a little better, and then I put you on my friends list. So my friends list is just my friends list. I obviously can't prevent you from adding me after the game, all that fun jazz. So please don't get offended if I just say sorry, but I'm not going to. I've had to say it to several people before, so don't think you're the first. But if I did that for everyone, I'd have a friends list of people that I just don't even know their real name. I'd be like, oh no, yeah, he asked me to add him on friends, so I did. It's like, what? So I'm gonna go to bed. I am tired. I gotta wake up in 5 hours, less than 5 hours. I am going to just post this entire thing to YouTube right now, so it'll be uploaded to YouTube. Hopefully people will share it. Hopefully people will share it on the Facebook, maybe on Discord. Be like, hey, check out Razor Greshu's explanation of this whole thing. I hope you get a chance to look at it, because I know I'm going to bed. I might. I'll see you on Ranked too, Burritos. I'll see you on Ranked. If you wanted to stay live, follow me on Facebook. Follow me, or not Facebook, on Twitch, on YouTube, on Twitter, all stuff. Please just support me in any way that you can. I'm not asking for subs. I'm not asking for money. I'm just asking for some follows and for you guys to appreciate the content that I'm putting out. That's all I ask. If you guys feel the need to sub and donate and all that stuff, more the merrier. But I'm never going to ask for it. I'm never going to demand for it. I'm never going to say, use that Twitch Prime. If you guys want to use it on who you want. The fact that you tune in and listen to me and talk to me and chat with me is all I really care about. That's all I want to do. So thank you again. I will upload this tonight. And then tomorrow I will do my best to spread it on the Facebook page and the Discord page for people to see if they weren't allowed, because I know it is super late for a lot of people. But I do want people to hear my opinion on it, because I don't think I was very rude on everything. I was very positive about it. And right now, positivity helps the game when a lot of people are upset that we haven't got Classic. But I think that hopefully hearing my opinion on it and why we didn't get it and all this stuff will make people go, yeah, he's got a good point. No, yeah, I can see that now, why there's two different formats and two different games, and so few people play physical and so many people play digital. Yeah, he makes a lot of good points. Like, I just hope that people will view my opinion and start to have their own different opinion, or maybe just come to the realization that, guys, we're all having a fun time playing this amazing game. It's only going to be for the next few months. Then everything will once again be cohesive and be all together again. So give it time. Play Fusion's got a lot on their plate, a lot of drawbacks, a lot of holdups and stuff like that. So the fact that they're giving us this to help spice things up is just amazing to them in its own right. So thank you very much again for listening. Thunderfin salute to everyone who's staying tuned and jump back on with me after the Bova match. Bova and Tetra, I should say both their names. I will see you guys on Saturday at 8. So far, I've not been asked to work, so we're all good on that front. I wish you all a very good night, and happy ranking tomorrow. Ciao, guys.